foundation class. Yesterday we discussed the topic The Price of Flowers by Prabhat Kumar Mukhopadhyay. Today we can discuss its climax, the remaining portion. Okay, let us begin. He received a postcard from Maggie and she wrote. Now we can go through the content. Come on, see. Dear Mr. Gupta, my mother is very ill. I have to be able to go to work for a week. We shall be extremely grateful if you take the trouble to come to see us. Maggie, I had told the family with whom I lived about Maggie and her mother. At breakfast, I spoke the letter. My hostess said, when you go, take some money with you. The girl has not been able to go to work for a week. She had not received any pay. It is probable that they are hard up. After breakfast, I took some money and set out for Lambeth. I knocked at the door. Maggie opened it. See, continue. After that, what happened? Yes, you can see here. One day, the writer got a postcard from Maggie and saying that her mother was very ill. She has not been able to go for work a week. She wanted me to go and see them. I had spoken to the family with whom I lived about Maggie and her mother. At breakfast, I spoke of the letter. My hostess told me that when I went to see Maggie, I should take some money with me, since the girl has not gone for work. They will be in problems. I took some money and went to their house. Maggie opened the door. Okay, next one. She was looking much pulled down. Her eyes were hollow and ringed. Oh, thank you, Mr. Gupta, she exclaimed when she saw me. It is so kind of you. How is your mother, Maggie? I asked. She is sleeping now. Her condition is very serious. The doctor says it is aggravated by her anxiety. Our friend. There is no news from him yet. She may not live. I tried to console Maggie, drying her eyes with my handkerchief. Maggie controlled herself with an effort and said, I have a request to make of you, Mr. Gupta. What is it, Maggie? I asked. Come to the sitting room and I will tell you, she answered. We tiptoed carefully into the sitting room, lest the sound of our footsteps should disturb the sick woman. I turned when I reached the center of the room and remained standing there. What is it, Maggie? I repeated my question. Maggie gazed up into my face. With beseeching eyes, I waited. Then she covered her face with her hands and wept silently. Come on. See, she was looking weak. See, her eyes were hollow and ringed. She thanked me. I asked about her mother. Maggie said that her condition was serious. She was sleeping. The doctor said that her condition was aggravated because of her worry about Frank. There was no news from him. She may not live. I tried to console Maggie. Maggie controlled herself with an effort and told me she had a request to make. I asked her to tell me what she wanted. She asked me to go into the sitting room where she would tell me about her request. Okay, then after that, we went into the sitting room quietly. I asked Maggie what she wanted. She looked into my eyes. Then, as I was waiting for her answer, she covered her face and started crying. I was in a fix. What could I say to console this child? Her brother was fighting on the frontier. Only God knew whether he was alive or dead. Her mother was the only person she had on earth. If she lost her, what would happen? Where in London could this girl on the threshold of adolescence go? I pulled her hands away from her face. Maggie, tell me what you wish me to do. If there is anything I can do to help you, I shall not hesitate. Mr. Gupta, the girl said, I do not know what you will think of the request I am going to make. Please forgive me if it is very, very wrong. What is it? What do you wish to ask? All day, yesterday, Mother kept saying that if Mr. Gupta would come and gaze into the crystal, he might learn something about Frank. Mr. Gupta is a Hindu. She said if only he would come. She said that is why I wrote to you. Okay. See after that. I asked Maggie what she wanted. She looked into my eyes. Then I was waiting for her answer. She covered her face and started crying. I was in a fix. What could I say to comfort her? Her brother was on the war front. Nobody knew if he was dead or alive. Her mother was her only support on earth. If she lost her, where would this young girl of 13 or 14 go? Okay, then after that, I pulled her hands away from her face. I asked her what she wanted me to do for her. She was hesitant to come out with her request and asked me to forgive her if the request was wrong. Yes, if you want me to try once more, go and bring me the ring, Maggie. Of course, I will do it. But if you do not see anything again this time, I understood what Maggie meant. He was silent. Mr. Gupta, I have read in books that Hindus are extremely truth loving. If you could bring yourself to tell Mother only once after looking into the crystal that Frank is alright, that he is alive, will it be too much of a lie? Will it be a very, very wrong? As she spoke, tears streamed from her eyes. I thought it over. I am not very virtuous. I have done my sinful things, so I decided to do this. It would be the least of my offenses. Please, Maggie, don't cry. Where is the ring? Let me take a look at it this time. If I do not see anything, I shall do as you suggest. God will forgive me if it is wrong. Okay, Maggie brought me the ring. I took it and said, see if your mother is awake. I asked her to tell me what she wanted. She then said that the whole day yesterday her mother was telling her that if I went to her house and looked into the crystal, I might be able to know something about her son. As I am a Hindu, but she thought I may not go to their house. That is why she wrote to me. I told her if she wanted me to try once more, she should fetch me the ring. She then was worried what would happen. If I did not see anything, I could not give her any proper answer. She further told me that she had read in books that Hindus are extremely truth loving. After looking into the crystal, she wanted me to tell her mother that Frank was alright and he was alive. What would be too much of a lie? What would be wrong? As she spoke, she was crying. I thought it over. I came not as saint. I decided to do it. It would not be a big offense. I told Maggie to get the ring. I told her I would look very carefully this time. Okay. Then 15 minutes passed before Maggie came back. Mother is awake. She said, I have told her you are here. May I see her now? Please come. I approached the mother's bedside. The ring was in my hand. Wishing her a good morning, I said, Mrs. Clifford, your son is alive. He is well. The old woman raised her head a little off the pillow. Did you see that in the crystal? She asked. Yes, Mrs. Clifford, I answered without any hesitation. I have seen it. Her head dropped back. Tears of happiness bubbled from her eyes. She whispered faintly, God bless you, God bless you. Mrs. Clifford recovered. It was almost time for me to return to my country. I wished to go to Lambeth to say goodbye to Maggie and her mother, but the family was in mourning. Frank had been killed in the fighting on the frontier. A month ago, Maggie had sent me a card with a black border. I calculated from the date and found that Frank had been dead some days when I told his mother he was alive and well. I felt ashamed to face Mrs. Clifford, so I wrote a letter to them announcing my departure and bidding them goodbye. Okay, after that, I told to Maggie to get the ring. Then, after that, I told her would carefully this them. Then, even if I didn't see anything, I would tell the mother as she had told me. God would forgive if the wrong. And Maggie brought the ring. I asked her to check if her mother was awake. She came back for 15 minutes and told me she was awake. She had told her mother that I was there. Maggie took me to her mother's bedside. The ring was in my hand. I told Mrs. Clifford that her son was alive and well. She wanted to know if I saw him in the crystal. Without hesitation, I told her I did see him there. Tears of happiness filled her eyes. She wished me God's blessings. Then Mrs. Clifford recovered. It was time for me to return to India. I wanted to go to Lambeth to say goodbye to Maggie and her mother. The morning of my last day in London dawned. I was to leave before the night. As I was breakfasting with the family, there was a knock at the door. A minute or two later, the maid came in and announced, "Please, Mr. Gupta, Miss Clifford has come to see you." My breakfast was unfinished. Maggie had come to say goodbye, lest she be late for office because of me. I took the permission of my hostess and got up from the table. Maggie was standing in the hall. She was wearing black. I took her into the adjoining library and made her sit down. "Are you leaving today?" she asked. "Yes, Maggie. Today is the day of my departure." "How long will it take you to reach your country?" "A little more than 2 weeks." "In what part of the country do you live?" "I have entered the Punjab civil service. I shall not know exactly where I am posted until I arrive there." "Is the frontier very far from there?" "No, not very." "Okay, Frank is buried at Fort Mont near Dera Ghazi Khan." The girl's eyes were filled with tears as she spoke. "When I got to that part of the country, I shall visit your brother's grave and write to you." The family was in mourning. They were very sad. Frank had been killed in the fighting a month ago. Maggie had sent me a card with a black border. I calculated from the date and found that Frank had been dead some days when I told he was alive and well. I felt ashamed to face Maggie's mother, so I wrote them a letter informing them of my going away and bidding them goodbye. It was the morning of my last day in London. I was to leave before night. I was breakfasting with the host family. There was a knock at the door. The maid came and said that Mrs. Clifford has come to see me. I had not finished my breakfast. Maggie had come to say goodbye. I got up from the table. Maggie was standing in the hall. She was wearing black. I took her to the library and made her sit down. She asked me if I was leaving that day. I said yes. She wanted to know how long I would take to reach my country. I said little more than 2 weeks. She said me where I lived. Then I told that I had entered the Punjab civil service. I would not know when exactly I would reach there after my posting. She wanted to know if the frontier was far from there. I told her it was not far. She told me that Frank was buried at Fort Montre near Dara Ghazi Khan. Her eyes were filled when filled with the tears, I told her that I should visit her brother's grave and write to her. Okay, and write to her. Then after that, see, Maggie's face was filled with gratitude as she thanked me. Her voice choked. She took a shilling out of her pocket and put it down on the table in front of me, saying, "Please buy flowers with this shilling when you go, and lay them on my brother's grave for me." In my emotion, I lowered my eyes. The child had earned the shilling with so much toil. I felt like returning it to her, explaining that in our country, flowers grow in great profusion and do not have to be purchased. When I assured her that I would visit the place, her face filled with gratitude. She took a shilling out of her pocket and put it down on the table in front of me. With that money, I was not buy flowers and place them on her brother's grave. Okay, in my emotion, I lowered my eyes. She had earned that shilling with so much hard work. Okay, and I want to return the money. Then to her, saying that in India, lot of wildflowers grew and one does not have to pay money to get some. But I thought again. Okay, but I reconsidered. Why should I deprive her of the joy this sacrifice would give her? All that this shilling could have given her, she was foregoing for the love of the brother. The joy of doing it was beyond all price. The grief in her heart would be eased a little. What good would it do to deprive her of it? I picked up the shilling. "Maggie," I said, "I shall use this shilling to buy flowers and put them on your brother's grave." Maggie stood up. "How can I thank you?" she said. "Now it is time for me to go to work. Goodbye. Remember to write." I got up and took her hand in mine. "Goodbye, Maggie. God bless you," I said, and pressed her hands to my lips. Maggie left. I wiped a tear or two from my eyes. I went upstairs to pack my bags. Okay, then after that, see, after that, I would deprive her of the joy and sacrifice if I do not take the money. The grief of her head would lessen by the sacrifice she was making. I took the shilling. I assured her that I would buy flowers with it and put them on her brother's grave. She said she didn't know how to thank me. She would be late for work, and so she wanted to go. She reminded me to write to her. I took her hand and pressed it to my lips. Maggie left. I wiped a tear or two from my eyes. I went upstairs to pack my bags. Okay, this is the story. Okay, dear students, let's wind up the session. Can continue its remaining activities and textual questions in the next class. Okay, I hope you got the idea about this topic. Okay.